Hey guys, it's quote unquote your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great astrological analysis. Um, all this talk about Caitlin Clark, I thought it would be fun to do a quick look at her chart. I just really more curious than anything else. See what it said, see if the chart matches up with the Caitlin Clark we know. When it comes to Caitlin Clark, I have to admit I don't really like her. She rubs me the wrong way. And I think a lot of people would say, well, Ballface 8020, you just don't like strong women. To which I would reply, yep, you're right, I don't. And the I don't think that's my problem with Caitlyn though. And I want to make it clear that I'm not rooting against her. Actually, just the opposite. I'm rooting for her. I think she's a great athlete, a great leader. She's somebody who I really admire, and I hope she continues to have success. But part of me, when I see her getting bullied out there, I do kind of enjoy it. I think that she's somebody who I just wouldn't get along with. Even with something about her really rubs me the wrong way. And when it comes to like why she takes so much hate in the league, um, first of all, I'm not really convinced she does. I think the other women out there who you see like getting into it with her, those are the ones who do have a problem with her. My guess is most of the other players don't really care about her one way or the other. I think that I suspect based on that she's not a particularly likable person, and so they may have reasons to not like her. I don't think it's true that most of the other players hate her. The ones who do hate her, I think there's two things that come to mind. One is it because she's not black, or it's because she's white, and two is it because she's not a lesbian. Initially, I thought the whole lesbian thing was part of it. Now I don't because apparently the WNBA is only 35% lesbian, which blows my mind. I would have guessed at least 80%. So that's out. That obviously has nothing to do with it. The other is that she's white. I think that anytime you're dealing, at least in America, it might be different in some other countries, but anytime in America or really the Western world at large, when you are dealing with people of different races, race, like even if it's not initially about race, like race gets mixed into the picture. It gets hard to separate race and all this other stuff. I don't think there's anybody in the league who has a problem with Caitlin Clark because she's white. There's other white players in the league. I think it's when you mix the fact that, you know, not just that she's white, but that like, she's this superstar who's getting all this attention, all this money, and these other women here have been in the, grinding, paying their dues. She hasn't, and she's getting, this celeb superstar treatment. And you can talk all about like, well, this is bringing more attention to the league. It's like, yeah, but they liked the league the way it was. And it's their league, and she's raining on their. They probably feel a lot like Shooter McGavin did in Happy Gilmore, and it's not. And then on top of that, it's like it's not just that she's white; it's the way that she's white. What I mean is that she's white in a very Midwestern way. She's got like that sort of like very wholesome look because it's not like she's nothing special to look. She's not ugly, but she's not pretty. But she's got that like like just perfect white girl hair and perfect white girl skin. So even though she's nothing, I actually think that like let's say that she was like like a total like centerfold type, like a 9 out of 10, but really Italian looking, with like curlier hair, that there would be less resentment for her than the plain Jane, but in the very white girl way that she is. And I'm not saying that's a legitimate reason for anybody to dislike her. Um, but I think that I do think that that's part of it. So I think anybody who's saying that like that it's because of race is really oversimplifying. But I do think there is a racial component to it. But no, I don't think it's cool. I mean, the thing is, you have to keep in mind that when and I was reading about this today. You saw like when Blake Griffin came into the league, to the NBA. He was on the receiving end of some very hard fouls. I'm not sure it was quite as egregious as what happened to Caitlin Clark and then that game last week. That was really bad. But the other fouls you get are like typical hard fouls you'd see in the NBA, and the league does need to get be a little harsher on it. But that girl who leveled her for just like did that cheap shot where she just completely knocked her over, that shouldn't have happened. That was bullshit. That girl apparently has done that shit before, to other players. So I mean, some people are just nuts, especially in the WNBA where you do have a lot of lesbians who are kind of their own thing. All the bad things of men and none of the good things. Um, and the one who leveled Caitlyn was a lesbian. It's probably some sexual frustration or something. Um, so yeah. So anyway, there's that. That's my 2 cents about the whole Caitlin Clark thing. But anyway, looking at her chart, I wanted to see if it would say anything interesting or anything like the Caitlin Clark we know. Well, first deacon Pisces rising, and that's kind of like I don't know, man. That doesn't really sound like Caitlin Clark. I mean, in terms of but because that would be more like a dreamy type. But what planet rules Pisces? Neptune. And would you look at it here? Neptune is combust. So when the first house lord is combust, you read the rising as if it comes from the combustion point in the sign that house lord is being combust in. So she's functionally, technically, she is a first deacon Pisces rising, but functionally she's a first deacon Aquarius rising. And this is like how Hitler, for instance, was technically a Libra rising, but he was functionally an Aries rising. I am technically a Cancer rising, but I'm functionally a Sagittarius rising. So this does happen. So we would expect her to be more like a first deacon Sagittarius. And the main thing I look at the rising sign for is what they look like. A great example of an Aquarius rising would be somebody like Kira Lowton, like straight hair, prominent forehead, kind of like an alien-like look, like almost like an otherworldly look. Um, Usually on the attractive side, although not necessarily a stunner. Caitlyn, not on the attractive side, and I would say she looks less like an alien and more like a bug. But the thing is, her ruling planet is still Neptune, even though she's an Aquarius rising. If you look at it here, she's this Saturn in the third house is trining her Neptune. So you would expect her looks to have a more Saturnian influence. So that would mean like a longer face, pointier chin, and stuff like that. And her face is very Saturnian. In fact, I was like, I remember the first time I saw Caitlin Clark, I was like, that is a girl with a lot of Saturn in her chart. She's also tall and slim, which you expect, which is a very Saturn type thing. So yeah, so in terms of looks, it's about what you'd expect. Um, so okay, so the ascendant, no real major aspects with the ascendant. Looking at the first house though, Mars in the first house, dominant athlete, like really really good athlete. Mars squaring Jupiter implies some type of luck or success from athletics. Um, Mars trining the Sun. Just again, success from athletics, or that she's going to be really athletic. Going into the 12th house. Here we've got a lot of action. Here's Uranus all the way down here, not really doing anything. We can ignore it. It's an invisible planet. Neptune we only care about because it's ruling the house lord, but it's combust, so we forget about that. Then you've got a sun that's combusting Venus, very tightly combusting Venus, and it's combusting Mercury. That's Mercury in Aquarius, which is, yeah, I don't really know how good a placement that is for Mercury. I forget. The But the sun is okay. So the sun is a little bit afflicted because it's in Aquarius, which is, it's okay. And then it's combusting this malefic Neptune, but it's also combusting Venus. So that's a tighter combustion. So it is kind of making it a little less malefic. Plus, it's got a good the sun has a nice healthy trine with both Mars and with Saturn. Those are both malefics, but when you're in a good aspect like a trine, it makes it beneficial. So really the sun's pretty good. And that's good because it's a sun in the 12th house. So if you see a bad sun in the 12th house, as you know from the previous video, that means you go to jail. And she could very well have some legal issues, but in this case, it implies more just money and wealth from foreign countries. Um, don't know if she has that yet, but I think it's reasonable to expect she will. Um, the combust Mercury is interesting because actually, you know what? I'm not sure her Mercury is combust. Let me check here. Now the Mercury is not combust, so forget about that. I mean, I give the sun an 8-degree combustion orb, and the sun's at 2 degrees Aquarius, and Mercury's at 13 degrees. So I don't consider Mercury combust, and if it is, just barely. Um, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about the combustion. We've got a combust Venus and a combust Neptune. Combust first house here is Pisces, but it's really not. Remember the sign that rules the cusp rules the house. So the first house is ruled by Mars, and oh my God, is this Mars strong? I didn't realize that she has a Mars in her first house, and it's as strong a Mars as possible. So yeah, no wonder she's such a dominant athlete. But anyway, her first house is not combust, so her first house is fine, but it does rule the combust of the 12th house, because that's where Pisces starts. The cusp is in the 12th house. So 12th house loss, major loss. That could be major financial loss, something loss. So she hasn't had any yet, but the chart does predict major loss coming in her life. Probably financial. Doesn't mean she's going to lose everything, but you would expect her to have big financial losses or maybe like a career-ending injury. I don't know. Then Venus. What's combust with Venus that we're looking for? Libra here. That rules the 7th house. Problems with relationships. Now, or like divorce or something. My understanding is she's got a pretty good relationship, right? She's with McCafferty's brother. So I don't know, but this would seem to indicate relationship or marriage problems down the road. She is only 22 years old, so or 22 or she's only 22 years old, so we might not see everything yet. Yeah, anything else? So Venus in the 12th, I forget what that means. Mercury in the 12th, I forget what that means. It's weird that she got very similar to Trump. Right here, you see this one's interesting. You got the ascendant is conjunct with the fixed star Fomalhaut. That's a royal star, so like the best of the best stars. It indicates greatness, worldwide fame. I'm not making this shit up. It's true. That's what the star says, and I guarantee you that star isn't in your chart. Okay, so and you'll notice this if you do stars for famous or great people, they'll always have a fixed star, like that's either on the ascendant, the descendant, the MC, the IC, or several of those places. It doesn't look like she's got any fixed stars conjunct with her sun and moon, but you would sometimes see that too, but definitely on one of the angles. Rahu in the 10th, there's Ketu in the 10th. Sorry, I forget what that means. I know it's a good place for Ketu, but I think it means like triumph over enemies. I'm not sure. I know Rahu in the 10th means that. Pluto, we wouldn't really want to talk about Pluto, except Pluto is on the MC. Basically, it means you're dominant in your career, but you annoy the shit out of everybody else. That you're overbearing and pushy. So that sounds like it's probably true from what we've heard about her and what we've seen. This one is close. Regulus. The Regulus is maybe the best star there is, but it's just missing the descendant. I don't know if you would say it's conjunct with the descendant or not, because let's see. Regulus is, let's see here, it's here in Virgo. Um, Now, where is Regulus? Oh, you know what? It's in Leo. Yeah, so Regulus is at the tail end of Leo. Where's the descendant? The descendant is at. Yeah, that's no, no. If Regulus is at 29 in Leo and the descendant is at 2, that's 3 degrees apart. That orb's too big. If it was conjunct with Regulus, then you would be able to say, because that's only got a 1 degree orb. If it was at 1 degree, you'd be like, oh, hey, holy shit, she's conjunct with Regulus, the star of greatness. Like, no, no, she's not. Not in that case. She already does have this one fixed star formal, which also indicates greatness. It's just not as big a deal as Regulus. Um, but you keep going down here. We've got Jupiter retrograde in the fifth. It is squaring Mars, which is a malefic. I guess it's good for Mars. It's bad for Jupiter. The Jupiter in the fifth would indicate really good relationships with like siblings. No, 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 it doesn't. It indicates really good relationship with children. So I guess she's going to have like a lot of kids that are going to turn out really well. It is retrograde though, so it might not be as positive. This is a day chart, so Jupiter isn't as powerful as Venus anyway. But overall, this is a good sign for her kids that she's going to have good kids and good relationships with her kids. It's like I said, the Jupiter is retrograde, but it's still a positive. It's just maybe not quite as positive. Um, some people would say it's a little bit more positive. Um, so yeah, then we've got Rahu in the fourth. That would be in Gemini, which is I think a neutral placement for it. Yeah, I don't really know what that would mean. Fourth is a good house for it. It does a I know that it likes to be uh, Rahu and Ketu like to be in that fourth house. I'm not sure what that means in this significance. Parts of Fortune is right up on the MC. I mean on the IC. Let me see where it is. Fortune is at 12 of Gemini, and the IC is at 15 of Gemini. Yeah, I would say that that's now. You know what? For an asteroid, I use a 1 degree orb, so we can ignore that, which is good because I didn't look it up what it means. But anyway, what I'm more interested in is on the IC. Look, fixed star Wriggle. Wriggle on the IC means greatness, world renown. That you're going to achieve like worldwide fame. So yep, and like it means your name is going to be immortal. So yeah, that's a pretty good sign. And moon in the second, it's not a bad moon. It is squaring Mercury. Um, it's also trining Jupiter though. Yeah, like that would indicate like the moon in the second would just indicate like lots of wealth and lots of possessions. Like she's going to own a lot of material things, which sounds about right. She's going to like so. Moon in the second is good. I get it's just you don't really think of the second as a strong house, but in terms of like I mean, if you want to be wealthy, then yeah, you want a good moon in the second house. So yeah, I think you're seeing here a chart that really matches up to the right thing. And I think that this is a chart that you could show it to somebody and you could like take 10 charts and just tell somebody, say, which of these charts is Caitlin Clark? Have them all be born right. And I think that I think that anybody who knows how to read a chart would say this one is it. Because, I mean, if for no other reason for these two fixed stars. I mean, look at it. This is clearly Caitlin Clark's chart, right? I mean, yes, it could be some other people, but it's somebody great. It's somebody great. And yeah. As for Saturn, Saturn's bad. It's in the third house. I forget what that means, but it's retrograde too, so it's extra bad. Um, but you know what? It's not in that bad. It's not in a bad sign. and this would just more indicate some like conflicts with siblings. I don't know if that's true in her case. However, it does have these positive aspects. It's trining Mercury, Neptune, Venus, and the Sun. And I mean, I know that Venus is combust, but it's still Venus. And the Sun is like almost a de facto benefic in this chart. So um, yeah, this would indicate to me some tensions with her siblings. I don't know if she has any like that or not, or if she will, but that's what that would indicate. That's all for now. See you in the next.